I actually like you, Dean. You do your job well on here. I think you're a good fact checker, but I think sometimes you can be, rude, really rude, and
Listen,
we're just,
I'll continue. I'll continue to strive to be kinder, like when possible. I think it's acceptable for me to match the energy of people that'll come up onto this stream, and it's just kind of like, if you can't take it, then you shouldn't dish it. And what is up, Amy? Do you support Trump?
I do.
All right, Amy. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. You don't have to answer, but I'm just kind of curious. How old are you?
I'm old.
All right. I was just asking. But anyways, go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
Well, I first want to ask you a question. Why are you not thanking Trump for signing the executive order to save TikTok?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I need to get on my hands and knees and start praying to
No,
the sky. Okay.
I'm not saying that, but you were just rude to the last speaker. I don't understand that. She was just asking you questions, and you were pretty rude. I mean, we're human beings, and we have opinions, and we support a president that we think is doing a really good job.
Okay.
And
that last guess, like, point number one, I didn't I wasn't trying to be rude to the last guess. I think as I clarified maybe like 30 minutes ago at this point, I've been up since 5 a.m. I've been on and off planes all day. I hopped off the plane and then came and sat down and recorded and edited a video. I'm just really tired, if I'm going to be honest. And I'm trying to be kind of respectful, but I feel like I'm likely being more blunt than I usually am. And I didn't mean to be rude to that last guess, right? But I did feel as if that last guess was unfairly attempting to demand something that's unrealistic, right? Because she came up here with the issue, believing that I didn't post a public receipt of this donation that I had promised to make. Then I was like, hey, listen, I did publicly share that receipt. I posted it on Discord, and instead of the response being oh, thank you for the clarification, Dean, all of a sudden, right, my original critique and what I came up here to voice my opinion about has now been solved, right? Because you are now informing me that you did post that publicly, right? Instead, a response was to just shift the goalpost and be well, actually, I'm still mad at you because you didn't post it on Twitter, right? So I don't know. I found that to be a little annoying, if I'm going to be frank. But what I will say to you is that last guest actually wasn't a Trump supporter. She was a leftist. And Donald Trump has called leftists the enemy. Donald Trump has said that he hates Democrats. He's identified Antifa as a terrorist organization. I bet she'd self-identify as anti-fascist for sure. So if you think that I was being rude to her, do you think that Trump is rude to her and people like her and me and everybody else watching every single day?
I think he's just responding to the way people. I mean, he was shot at by who?
What's that?
He was shot.
So yeah, President Trump was shot in the air. Yeah.
Right. And who was he shot by?
Honestly, I forget the guy's name. Some dorky white guy.
Is he a Democrat?
I think he was a registered Republican.
I don't know about that.
Wait, no, he was. Yeah, no, he was a registered Republican. We don't really know anything about him. I remember that. We know nothing about the guy that shot Trump. I don't know how that's relevant to our conversation at all, though. I mean, what's the relevance?
Well, you're saying I think it was a Democrat. I don't think it was a Republican, but I'm not sure. I don't agree with everything that Trump does. Personally, I think I voted for Trump because I thought he was a better candidate than the other candidate. I mean, okay. She was listening to other people. She didn't even have her own. She doesn't have the experience like Trump has. She was listening to everybody. She couldn't come up with her own words to express anything, and a lot of times she was slurring her words throughout her candidacy, and I don't know. I just based on experience, that's why I voted, and I also don't believe that illegal immigrants should be allowed in our country. There's a process.
Yeah,
and we can't go into another country illegally, can we? No, we're going to be thrown out. We're not allowed to go into any other country and get free things.
Okay. Well, point number one, you told us that America would be worse off today if like Kamala Harris was elected because sometimes she slurred her words. I mean, like,
No, I think that's not what I said. You're twisting my words.
Okay.
That's not what I said. I
Clarify,
said
please.
I voted against Kamala because
Kamala.
I didn't feel Carmela, right? Well, I'm Bostonian, so it's probably not. I'm not pronouncing it right, but anyways, I voted for her. I didn't vote for her because I didn't think she had the experience. Not only that, she was
I have a
being
question. What do you,
fed
if the
her
JD Vance,
information.
if JD Vance ran in the next general election against somebody like Gavin Newsom, would you vote for Vance?
I don't know, to be honest. I've been a Democrat. I mean, I've been an independent my whole life. I'm not Republican. I'm not independent. I mean, I'm not a Democrat. I've been in between. I've been neutral.
Okay. Well, how about this? Arguably, I'd say you're telling us that Harris didn't have the experience. I'd actually argue that she has more experience than Trump, right? Because unlike Trump, she served in all three branches of government. Starting off with the judicial branch of government, she was a lawyer in San Francisco. Then she was the DA of San Francisco,
The DA,
California.
yeah.
And then she became the AG of the whole state of California, or the legislative branch, for instance. She served as a senator of California for 4 years, or the executive branch, where she worked under the Biden administration as his vice president, and quite frankly, if you ask me, was more effective and more active as the vice president of the United States of America during her 4 years than Donald Trump was during his first 4 years as the president, right? I mean, like, here, how about this? I could very easily name like 4 or 5 things that she did when she was vice president. You know, she passed the most tie-breaking votes in Senate out of any VP in history, and she worked with Biden to pass the infrastructure bill to rebuild our roads, infrastructure, make jobs, get people paid, etc. She worked with Biden to pass the Chips and Science Act to subsidize American chip producers, to bump our global supply from like 1% to 30. She worked on the PACT Act to fund the VA $800 million to expand their benefits to over 1 million new veterans. Like, there's like 4 things she did as VP were off the dome. Can you name like 2 things that Donald Trump did as P during his first administration that are worthy of praise? Can you?
He lowered the unemployment rate.
He lowered unemployment. How did he do
Yes. Yeah.
that? How did he do it? How did he lower the unemployment? By the way, I'm going to repeat this. I'm sorry if I'm coming off as like a rude a-hole. I'm trying my best not to. I'm just so tired. I'm going to repeat that to you, you know, and probably other guests today. I'm sorry if I am. I'm really trying not to. By the way, Amy, you left the TikTok app. I can't hear you when you do.
Yeah.
Okay, Amy. Well, so just to catch you up, you told us that he lowered the unemployment rate during his first term, and I asked you how. Do you have a response? You can be honest. If you don't have a response, that's fine. You know.
I don't have a response.
No worries.
I mean,
No worries.
I think, you know, with jobs, a lot of jobs, that was providing all the jobs with, I don't know, I just feel like I'm put on the spot here.
All right, well,
But,
I did. I definitely did put you
yeah.
on the spot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'd rather talk about other things, but that's all right. I'm not really I'm tired myself. I'm tired. And I also just, you know, when I was on here, I actually like you, Dean. I think, you know, you do your job well on here. I think you have a lot of, you're a good fact checker, and, you know, you do your job appropriately. But I think sometimes you can be, you know, rude, really rude. And, yeah, I just think you could be rude and you can be a little nicer.
Listen,
Just, you know,
I'll continue. I'll continue to strive to be kinder, like when possible. But I would say for the most part, like I think it's acceptable for me to match the energy of people that will come up onto the stream. And quite frankly, I think it's very frequent we'll have people come up onto the stream and not be too nice themselves. And it's just kind of like, you know, if you can't take it, then you shouldn't dish it. But, you know,
Right.
like one last thing I'll add on here just respond to your last point. Then you said that you're tired, so I'd assume that you're going to leave after this. Is that you can't just blame, right, anything that happens in the country on the president. So I'd assume when you're saying that he was super good for the unemployment rate, you'd be looking at like the 1 point under his term, right, where he had like a 50-year low level of unemployment, writing off the macroeconomic trends from Obama. All right, well, he also had the highest level of unemployment in the last 100 years in April of 2020 at 14.8%. Can I basically assume that he caused that the same way you're basically assuming that he caused a 50-year low?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay, so why can you basically assume, but I can't?
No, I mean, you have that right. You have that opinion. You have that right. Is that accurate? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that what you're telling me is accurate.
Okay.
And I think I should have done some more research on my part. And this is the first year I voted for Trump. It was a really hard decision for me, to be honest. But I just feel like we're in a better place with him running the country than the other opponent. And
Wait, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, here's my thoughts.
Yeah.
I think that the country would be significantly better off if Kamala Harris won. Like I asked you like why you didn't like her. At first you said, she kind of slurred her words sometimes. And then you said, well, you don't really know if she was too qualified. Then I went through her qualifications and you had no response. Okay. Right. But if you were to ask me why I don't like Trump, I would be like, he pardoned 72 people that tried to kill cops on the steps of our Capitol. Holy shit. He tried to rig and steal the outcome of a federal presidential election by sending fake slates of electors to key swing states to cast fake votes back to Congress. And then he attempted to pressure Mike Pence into certifying them as real while having his supporters storm the Capitol, fucking scream and hang Mike Pence if he doesn't. Holy shit. He was adjudicated by a court of law to have raped a woman. Holy shit. He was best buddies with Epstein and
he
was sending
actually
Epstein
did.
letters.
He was not criminally charged on that rape. That was a civil charge against that woman, not a criminal charge against Trump.
It was civil. But listen, I still think that the court proved it beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt. We could go through my reasons why if you want.
Well,
but
you know what she wrote.
My point here is just like, right, which like arguments here are like more consequential, more meaningful, and more meaningful and more compelling, right? You accusing Kamala Harris of like slurring her words sometimes and kind of being unqualified, then having no response to me when I give you her qualifications, or Donald Trump like purporting the greatest threat to the American democracy since the Civil War with J6, being civilly adjudicated to have raped a woman, being best buddies with the largest billionaire child sex trafficker, Jeffrey Epstein, and sending him letters depicting the body of a naked girl. Or like passing the most expensive bill in modern American history, all of modern American history, while also kicking 10 million people off healthcare and 3 million people off food stamps in the process, right? Like, obviously, right, my reasons right there why I think that Donald Trump is a bad president, which are very limited, I could go on for another 10, 15 minutes, are like extremely, right, worse, right, than like your two reasons why you said you don't think Kamala Harris would make a good president. And I feel like it doesn't take much common sense to be able to agree with that.
It's not just that. I mean, I followed her candidacy. I watched her, and she had earbuds in her ears, right? She was listening to somebody else. She wasn't using her own words.
No.
If you follow her at every stop that she made, she had those. You don't believe that? That's the thing, like,
Amy,
you don't know
Amy,
what to believe.
That's a conspiracy theory. I could prove that's a conspiracy theory. Because
Go
the earrings that you're talking about are a legitimate collection sold by Tiffany & Co. that you could find publicly available on their website.
And who says that they're not, she can't hear somebody on them?
A side-by-side comparison of the earrings she was wearing in her debate with Trump compared to the picture of the Tiffany & Co. earrings off of their publicly available website, and while also a comparison to the fucking like Temu like earring headphone things where you could hear volume through. Like, obviously, right, that what she was wearing was identical to the Tiffany & Co. earring set that was, I think, I read somewhere that it was like a gift from a friend or something, and like not identical at all, but like similar in color, right, to like the earring headset, phone a friend shit from Timo, right? Like it's a conspiracy theory. And listen, this is another reason why Donald Trump is a terrible president. It's because when he's pissed off with the facts, right? The fact of this matter was the fact that Kamala Harris had destroyed him so terribly in that debate. He'll just come up with a conspiracy theory to ignore that fact. In this circumstance, is that she was colluding with somebody and hearing and listening to them and repeating their words through a headset, right? And then you just fucking buy it, right? Like the Achilles tendon to democracy is an ill-informed electorate, and I think that Donald Trump has conned you into being a part of the largest misinformed electorate in modern American history because of him and his lies.
She was the vice president with Biden, and she allowed him. She could have contributed in supporting getting him some help. He was not a well president, and she walked along with him, and he was not well and did nothing, did absolutely nothing.
Okay. Name 3 things that Trump did. Biden did the CHIPS Act, the PACT Act, the infrastructure bill. Yeah, that talking point, thumbs down.
No, you know what? I need to be more prepared. I'm not prepared. And I was actually surprised that you, because I waited like 3 hours the other day to come on here, and I'm just too tired. It's 10:30. It's late for me, and I do want to come back and debate you when I'm more prepared, and I'm not prepared.
All right. Well,
and I'm also receiving all these comments that are not very nice, and I don't appreciate it. So I'm going to say goodnight.
All right, Amy.
But thank you, Dean.
All right, Amy. You have a good rest of your evening.
But I do have a lot. I do have a lot of facts of why I voted for Trump. I voted for many reasons, but I'm just too tired to go through them. And I waited, a couple hours to get on here, so I'm going to say goodnight.
Okay.
But I will come back. I hope you
feel free to come back. Feel free to come back.
All right.
You got it.
Thanks,
you got it,
Gene.
Yeah.
All right.